At least your sister gave us grandchildren. That's why she deserves to inherit the house, my mother blurted out while throwing some old socks at me. I shrugged and said, then let her also take care of their bills and their health plan. That same day, I detached myself from everything. It wasn't long before they started begging me. I had been my parents' only real support for 5 years. It's not that I complain, but it's the truth. My sister, the apple of their eye, moved 8 years ago to another city because her husband got an amazing job, and since then, she only shows up for Christmas or when she needs something. Meanwhile, I stayed close, weekly visits, taking them to the doctor, doing their shopping, fixing their house when something broke, helping them with the bills when their pension wasn't enough. You know how it is, the usual when your parents get older and you're the available child. Last Sunday, I went to help them organize some things. Dad has hip problems and Mom insists they have too much stuff accumulated. The truth is they do need to move to a smaller, easier to maintain place, but they resist. I was in their room helping sort through old clothes when it happened. I found some of Dad's worn-out socks in a drawer and asked if we were keeping them or throwing them away. Mom looked at me as if I had asked something offensive and said, "Why are you even asking? This house will be your sister's when we're gone." I felt like I had been slapped, but I tried to stay calm. "What do you mean the house will be hers?" "Why?" I asked, feeling my hands tremble. "At least your sister gave us grandchildren," my mother said while throwing the old socks at me. "That's why she deserves to inherit the house." It was as if something inside me broke at that moment. 5 years taking Dad to his therapies after his stroke, 3 years paying half of their medications because their pension wasn't enough, countless weekends fixing the roof, the garden, the kitchen, while my sister barely called to ask how they were doing. I remember when Dad needed urgent surgery, I took a leave of absence from work to take care of him. My sister sent flowers and a card. When the boiler broke down in the middle of winter, I paid for the repair with my savings. My sister said she was very tight that month. "So, all this time, I've been taking care of them for nothing," I said, my voice trembling. "My sister gets the house just because she had children? Grandchildren are the joy of our old age," Mom replied as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "Your sister will continue our legacy. Besides, she has a family to support." "And what about me? Am I not part of this family? I've dedicated years to taking care of them while she barely bothers to call." "Don't be dramatic, it's normal, children take care of their parents." I felt my blood boil. My entire adult life had revolved around them. I canceled trips, relationships, job opportunities, all to be available when they needed me, and they didn't even value it. I took a deep breath and shrugged. "Then let her also take care of their bills and their health plan." My mother's face completely changed. "What are you saying?" "What you hear. If she gets everything, let her take care of everything." "I'm tired." "You can't be serious. Your sister lives 6 hours away. How is she going to manage?" "Not my problem." "Maybe you should have thought about it before deciding she deserved to inherit the house just for giving you grandchildren." My father, who had been quiet all this time, intervened. "Son, calm down, we can talk about this." But it was too late. Years of repressed resentment exploded all at once. "There's nothing to talk about. I've been invisible to you all these years. It's always been your sister this, your sister that, while I've been breaking my back taking care of you." I gathered my things and left, while I heard my mother calling me dramatic and ungrateful. In the car, I sent them a message. "Starting today, my sister is in charge. Don't call me for bills, doctors, or repairs. Call your favorite daughter." That night, I turned off my phone. I felt guilty, but also liberated. When I turned it on the next day, I had 12 missed calls and several messages. "Son, please let's talk. You can't leave us like this. We need your help." But I had already made my decision. That same day, I detached myself from everything. It wasn't long before they started begging me. My apartment is small but mine. I had never realized how much time I dedicated to my parents until I stopped. Suddenly, I had free afternoons, full weekends, and that constant feeling of anxiety in case they called me with some emergency had disappeared. The first week, I ignored all their calls. The second week, the messages changed their tone. Son, the electricity bill arrived, and we don't understand these charges. Your father needs to go to the cardiologist on Thursday. Can you take him? The sink is leaking again. I almost wavered several times, but then I remembered my mother's words and I stayed firm. 28 years taking care of them, and in the end, the house was going to my sister because she gave them grandchildren, as if I had chosen not to have children just to spite them. I remember once, 2 years ago, when I told my mother that I had met someone special, her first question was, "Does she want to have children?" When I said probably not, she sighed and said, "What a shame. You're at the age to settle down." Now I understand why she said that. A month later, my sister called me. We hadn't spoken in months. "What the hell is wrong with you?" was her greeting. "Mom says you refuse to continue helping them. Are you seriously going to be so selfish?" I laughed. I couldn't help it. Me, selfish? Interesting. Did Mom tell you why I stopped helping them? She says you went crazy when they talked about the inheritance. Not everything is about money, you know. Exactly, not everything is about money. It's about respect and recognition. Do you know who has been taking Dad to physiotherapy 3 times a week for years? Who pays half of his medications? Who fixes everything that breaks in that house? Silence on the other end of the line. But you'll get the house because you gave them grandchildren. Congratulations, now it's your turn to take care of everything else. I can't believe you're being so petty. You know I can't move there. And I do? I have to sacrifice my life. Why? Because I don't have children? Because my time is worthless. It's not that, it's just, look, I have to hang up, the kids are calling me. I felt bad afterward, but also liberated. For the first time in years, I was prioritizing myself. 2 weeks later, my mother sent me a message. "Your father misses playing chess with you on Sundays." I didn't respond. 2 months later, things got ugly. My father had a fall, nothing serious, but he needed help getting around. My sister called me, desperate. "I can't leave here right now. I have the kids at school and Brad is on a business trip. Please, I just need you to help them this week." "And what about next week and the one after that?" "I'm looking at options," she said, sounding genuinely worried for the first time. I didn't know Dad needed so much care. Mom never told me. Of course not, they didn't want to bother you, just me. Look, I'm sorry, okay? But right now it's not about us, it's about Dad. She was right, and I knew it. I agreed to go to the hospital, but made it very clear that I would not be the primary caregiver again. At the hospital, I found my mother with teary eyes. We didn't say much. My father was drowsy from the painkillers. When he woke up and saw me, he grabbed my hand tightly. "I'm sorry, son," he whispered. "Your mother sometimes says things without thinking. We shouldn't have treated you like that." I was surprised. My father had never been one to apologize. "The house is just a house," he continued. "What you've done for us is worth much more." "Are you serious?" Because Mom seemed to have it very clear. My father sighed. "Your mother sometimes only sees what she wants to see. She always worried more about your sister because she saw her as more fragile. She saw you as strong, capable, and thought you didn't need as much support. Being the strong one has cost me my personal life, Dad. Do you know how many dates I canceled because you needed me? How many job opportunities one turned down because I couldn't be available to take you to the doctor?" I saw tears in his eyes. "I didn't know. You never said anything. Because it was supposed to be my duty. The single son who has to take care of his parents while the daughter with a family is exempt." That same afternoon, we had a serious conversation, all 4 of us. I explained that I could continue helping with some things, but I wouldn't carry everything like before. My sister would have to get more involved, even from a distance, and if the house was going to be hers, she would have to contribute financially from now on. My mother resisted at first. "But she has the children, she can't." "I also have a life, Mom. Maybe I don't have children, but I have the right to live without being constantly at your disposal." My sister, to my surprise, supported me. "She's right, Mom. It's not fair that he does everything alone. For the first time, I felt like they were really listening to me. It wasn't an easy conversation, but it was necessary. We established some basic agreements. I would continue helping, but with clear limits. My sister would take care of financial matters and come at least once a month. And most importantly, we would make decisions about their future together, as a family. Leaving the hospital, my sister hugged me awkwardly. "I'm sorry," she said. "I didn't realize how much you were doing." It wasn't a miracle. Old habits don't change overnight, but it was a start. 3 weeks after my father's fall, we all met in their kitchen. It was the first time in a long time that the four of us were sitting at the same table. I hired a lawyer who specialized in family planning to help us organize everything fairly. My mother was quiet, which was unusual for her. My sister had brought her children, who were playing in the yard. My father, already recovered, seemed the most willing to find a solution. "The first thing we need to understand," said the lawyer, "is that caring for older adults involves much more than just a place to live. You have to think about medical expenses, daily care, and long-term planning." I showed him all the bills I had been paying for years. My sister stared at the numbers in surprise. "I had no idea you were putting in so much money," she murmured. "Why didn't you ever ask?" I replied, trying not to sound bitter. "And Mom and Dad never told you because they didn't want to bother you." Meanwhile, I was the walking wallet and personal chauffeur. My mother began to protest, but my father interrupted her. "It's true, Maria. We've abused his goodwill, and then we punished him on top of it." The lawyer proposed several options. The most sensible was to sell the house and use that money to pay for an assisted living facility where my parents could live comfortably, receiving the care they needed. The rest of the money could be divided equally between my sister and me. My sister initially objected. "But this is the family home that you visit twice a year," I replied, "and that you can't maintain unless you move here. Are you going to do that?" She looked at her children playing in the yard and shook her head. "I can't. The children's lives are there." "Exactly. And I'm not going to be their personal caregiver anymore without compensation." Finally, we reached an agreement. We would sell the house. My parents would go to a good assisted living facility that was halfway between my apartment and my sister's city. She agreed to pay 60% of the monthly expenses, and I would pay 40%, proportional to our incomes. We would both take turns visiting them. For months later, my parents were settled in their new home. It was a pleasant place with attentive staff, daily activities, and medical care. My father seemed happier than he had been in years, making new friends and participating in a chess club. One day, while we were having coffee in the residence cafeteria, my mother surprised me. "I'm so sorry for what I said about the house and the grandchildren," she said, looking at her cup. It wasn't fair. I was speechless. My mother never apologized. "You always gave so much without asking for anything in return that I started to take it for granted," she continued. "Your sister always asked and demanded, so we paid more attention to her. It was unfair to you." I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded. "We're better off here," added my father. "And I'm glad you're better off too now. You deserve it." I smiled. He was right. Now I had time for myself. I had started dating someone. I was considering a promotion at work that I couldn't accept before because it involved traveling. My relationship with my sister also improved. By having to get more involved, she began to understand my frustration. Now we shared responsibilities fairly, and that had brought us closer. It wasn't easy to detach myself from everything, but it was necessary. Sometimes you have to set boundaries, even with your parents, so that they value you as you deserve. For those who are reading this and feel identified, don't wait for them to throw some old socks at you to realize that you deserve respect. Sometimes helping too much makes others take your effort for granted. Setting boundaries is not selfishness, it's self-care. My only regret is not having done it sooner. And in case you're wondering, yes, now my mother calls me twice a week just to see how I'm doing, without asking me for anything. Sometimes you have to walk away for them to appreciate you. Ironic, isn't it? True love includes respect and reciprocity. Whoever only gives without receiving is not building healthy relationships, but creating toxic dependencies. Valuing oneself is the first step for others to do the same. Families work when there is balance and mutual recognition, not when they are based on unequal expectations and unilateral sacrifices. Sometimes we become caregivers by inertia, and our own lives take a back seat. We allow others to value us only for what we do for them, not for who we are. Breaking this cycle requires courage, but it is the only path to authentic relationships based on mutual respect. It doesn't matter if you are a child, sibling, parent, or friend, your time and effort deserve recognition. Setting clear boundaries is not an act of selfishness, but of dignity, and surprisingly, it is often the first step towards more honest and balanced relationships with those who truly love you.